Cool. I think we are live, guys. What is going on? It is your boy Luke here with a PGA DFS Showdown live stream. This is going to be for our Friday picks. And here in our video, we're going to go over our favorite plays for the single round slate tomorrow. We're also going to cover the course, if anything's changed since our core picks and our key stats from earlier on in the week, as well as some of the weather implications for tomorrow, because in this slate specifically, we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and start this off with our course breakdown. So TPC Summerlin, especially in the morning, was playing exactly like what we're used to seeing, was playing relatively easy. We saw an average score right around 68.1, so nearly 3 under par. And that continued until about 3 p.m. over there, which for me was like 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern time. But as soon as a weather front came in, the wind started howling at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. The entire complexion of the tournament has changed. We saw the tournament go from being one of the easier golf tournaments on the entire schedule to absolutely havoc. I mean, we saw absolute chaos out there. You saw more double bogeys on that live TV coverage in the last hour right there than we saw in the entire day, probably for what we would have seen for the entire tournament had the wind not been blowing or anything like that. So we are dealing with a completely different monster when the wind blows. And one quick look at tomorrow's wind forecast shows it's supposed to have gusts of 18 to 30 miles an hour the entire day. There's just a cell moving through there. Tomorrow is not going to be a day you want to be outside in Vegas tomorrow. Not a day to be at the whatever you call it, the beach club or something like that. You don't want to be out by the pool or anything. It's going to be really nasty out there tomorrow. And as a result, we're going to prepare for that. So initially, we were looking at golfers who were able to combine approach play, putting, and birdie or better percentage in order to make their hay. Essentially, put yourself in good position. Be somebody who's able to make a ton of putts and take it super low. I mean, we saw Sung Kang shoot 10 under today. We saw a few 8 unders, a bunch of 7 unders. And in the afternoon, the best round right now is 6 under par. That was Sam Burns. I believe he double bogeyed one of the last holes there, so it could have been a little bit better. When it got hard to hit, whenever the wind brought up, I mean, it really brought the scores up. There's water in play, especially towards the back 9 of this golf course. There's also quite a few spots with runoff areas. So whenever you're not going to be 100% on, definitely something to watch out for. So what we're changing, we're definitely taking an emphasis off of birdie or better percentage. It's going to blow for the entire day tomorrow. So there's not necessarily going to be a morning afternoon split or anything like that. And in general, I expect these guys to miss a lot more greens. These in general are some of the bigger greens on tour, but when it gets windy, they have enough undulation to put you into some of these runoff areas. So I'm going to be de-emphasizing birdie or better percentage and increasing my emphasis on around the green play. Also going to be emphasizing a little bit more my approach play. Also going to be taking a look at putting a little bit more as well. So birdie or better percentage went from being one of the key factors in my analysis come round 1 to one of the least important here in round 2. I'm expecting scores a lot closer to 70 or even like 70 and a half strokes rather than the 68 or 69 that we saw from the morning and afternoon waves today. So as a result, we're looking at a lower scoring showdown slate as well. I do expect the cream to rise to the top a little bit. We're looking for golfers that not only have lower apex heights in order to battle that wind, people that are able to flight the ball down low, but you're also looking for grinders, people that are able to go out there, keep a round together. So a couple of names that come to mind. Russell Knox is a wind specialist, somebody who I don't even know how he played today, wasn't in my player poll or anything like that. But anytime it gets windy, he's somebody who can still go out there and score. Victor Hovland, a wind specialist, somebody who in Norway had to deal with it when he was growing up. When he came over to the States, over there, Oklahoma, had to deal with a whole hell of a lot of wind there as well. Both of his wins are in Caribbean conditions where there was a ton of wind, especially down there at the Corrales. So somebody who thrives in those conditions had a very good round 1. We're not in the picks section of this video right now. We're going to get to that here in about just a minute. But definitely somebody who's going to be a prominent part of that section. So in general, we're looking for people that are good in wind, that have a low ball flight, but they're also good with their irons in general. Also looking for people that can get it done around the green, because you're going to have a ton of misses tomorrow. I think the tops for greens in regulation tomorrow, you're probably looking at around 13 or 14 greens. Today, I'm sure there were people that hit all 18. It was just a much different set of conditions. And again, it's the entire field tomorrow that's going to have to deal with this. The wind is supposed to kick up right around 7:45 a.m. local time there and last the whole way until 7 p.m. So it is the entire day. Again, it's weather. Again, it's weather forecasters. So can't trust them 100%, but it's said this same forecast here for 3 or 4 days now. I've checked it day in and day out, and as of right now, this second, Wind Finder and all the different spots around that area, not just in Summerlin, but also at the airport there, also in downtown Vegas at the Strip, all showing a ton of wind. So I trust that, especially when you have it at all three spots there. Another factor to consider, again, I mentioned it a little bit before, was the wind play, right? You're looking for guys with low apex height. You're able to find that data on golf, on PGA Tour and everything like that. It's a little bit hazy because they only take it for one shot per round. So you want to look at the year-long numbers in terms of apex height, perhaps even career numbers for that. But you can definitely decipher through some of the better wind players by doing that kind of thing. What I want to do now is I want to share my screen and I want to go through the player pool for this golf tournament and talk about some of my favorite options for the single round slate. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. So you guys can see at the very top, we have Viktor Hovland. So somebody who I mentioned before as somebody who's very good in wind. Also had a very strong round today. And a lot of that was without his putting. He went out there, was very good from tee to green, very good with his ball striking, just couldn't make anything. So that -4 could have very well been -6 or -7 today. At windy conditions tomorrow, I really like his type of play. Somebody else who's very good in windy conditions, Sam Burns. He's used to it from playing down at LSU. Also somebody who in the past has played well in windy conditions. He has the kind of pedigree that you're looking for. Really surprised me with this -5 performance today. So for him to go out and back that up, I definitely think that's more than possible. Now getting down to Louis Oosthuizen, anytime you have windy conditions, I mean, we saw it at the Open Championship. We see it at the US Open at some of these tougher tracks, places with a lot of windy conditions, especially this year with Torrey Pines. It was extremely windy there. Louis Oosthuizen thrives. So love going there. Got a little bit of a price decrease as well. Getting down to the next price range, someone that sticks out, Paul Casey. Paul Casey was someone I didn't really like targeting, especially for the 4-round slate. But if you're taking a look at just an 18-hole sample size, somebody whose volatility can definitely do well, especially here in windy conditions. He's from England. He's very much used to those type of conditions, a lot more so than a lot of the other people in this range. Another guy I like, Patrick Reed, right? So we have a lot more emphasis on around the green play, also on approach play. And while Patrick Reed's game looked horrible today, I have a lot of confidence that he'll be able to turn that around. He's somebody who does that from round to round. He'll have 18-hole stretches where he just doesn't have control of his game. So I'm hoping that's what that is. He's not going to be a core fixture of my plays. It's not going to be in my main GPP lineup or even a cash lineup for this slate. But again, he's extremely volatile, somebody who has more than enough ability, especially with the putter, to go super low. Now talking about some of these targets here in the high AK range, love Jason Kokrak's price point right there. Don't necessarily love that it's going to be windy tomorrow. He's not somebody who I think of as a wind specialist, especially with how high he hits the ball, but definitely more than capable of scoring. Has a ton of rounds at this golf course. One of the most familiar with the track, even though he hasn't played on it professionally all that often. He's just in the area very often, again, sponsored by MGM. So plays this golf course probably at least 5-6 times a year. Getting down to a few of the other plays I like, Erik van Rooyen, extremely volatile. Started off, I believe, at 3 over par today through 4 holes. Ended up under par. So you can see he's -1 right now. I believe he took that to -2 even. So extremely volatile. If you're looking for a birdie maker, if he's able to hold around together, not put up a double bogey, 3 or 4 bogeys, that kind of thing, he'll end up optimal for your lineup. So like him there. Again, not really a safe play, but for Showdown, that's what you're looking for. Let's talk about a few guys down here I like. Cam Davis, very good in windy conditions. Also very capable of taking it low. Somebody who I talked about in my core plays earlier on this week, very good on bent grass. It's actually the only surface where Cam Davis gains strokes putting. So definitely like him in that instance and somebody I'll be targeting for the single game slate. Talking about a few other plays I like, especially in this low 7K range. Henrik Norlander, he's from Sweden, tends to do well in windy conditions, has been in good recent form. I absolutely hate the guy. He's one of my least favorite golfers in the world, but cannot deny that he grades out well for tomorrow given the windy conditions. Emiliano Grillo, very good in windy conditions. You would expect Seamus Power to be good in windy conditions because he's from Ireland. I don't have the apex height stats on Power, would have to look into that. But if you go ahead and take a look at it, he's the lower half of apex height. Definitely would be firing him up for tomorrow. A few other people I like to talk about down here. Keith Mitchell, right? So he ended up winning the Honda Classic in a year where the wind really kicked up. The winning score was a little bit higher than it's used to being. So Keith Mitchell, with that in mind, with that past experience there at the Honda Classic, probably safe to say that he's a really good wind player as well. few other people like Pat Perez, tons of rounds here. Also an MGM guy, somebody who gets comped a ton of rounds here, probably plays at least 10 to probably 20 rounds here a year. Also a lot of experience just playing this golf tournament in general, plays this golf tournament every single year. So I like that. Let's talk about a few guys in this value range. Now getting into the 6K below range. Don't really like anyone right there. I mean, Aaron Rai, we'll talk about him. He's a European Tour player, somebody who plays a ton of golf tournaments in the wind, more of a link style, and I like that kind of skill set for these type of events. Where is Russell Knox? All right, guys, I'm just going to go find Russell Knox real quick. Okay, Russell Knox is 6,600. That's why we hadn't gone there yet. I'm absolutely going to love him for tomorrow. Somebody who's very good in windy conditions. You can see he's +1 as well, so needs to shoot something like 6 or 7 under par. 6 or 7 under tomorrow to end up making the cut. I actually look at that as a positive. Yes, he has to be very aggressive, and that's what you're looking for. Hank Lebioda can just sink tons and tons of putts. He's more of a showdown specialist, somebody who can shoot 6, 7 under par in one singular round. I like that as well. Like the situation of him being +1. Really has to be aggressive there tomorrow as well. Matt Wallace. So Matt Wallace, guys. So he was somebody I played in my main GPP lineups. I mentioned him as a value play. Somebody I went to because his pedigree is just much higher than his price. And he was priced, I believe, at $6,300. It's still there at $6,500. That is an absolute steal on this slate. Somebody who's also from England, very used to the windy conditions. And again, he should be priced in the $8,500 to even $9,000 range, especially after what we saw today. He shot 4 under this morning, which is very solid. Was in control of his ball striking. Didn't even putt very well. Was a slight negative with his shots game putting, yet still shot 4 under. So I like that. If he can go out, gain a few strokes on the greens, could put up a massive round. A few other people like down here. Go to Denny McCarthy, right? So Denny McCarthy is in some good form right now. This is by far not one of his best surfaces. I mean, you're looking at Bermuda grass for Denny McCarthy. But on bent grass, I mean, these are pure greens. Anytime you have super pure greens, Denny McCarthy tends to do a little bit better. He just has the purest putting stroke on the entire tour. There is no question about that. There's no debating that. So like Denny McCarthy there. I'm going to go through the lineup one more time, see if there's anyone I missed for you guys. Like Lanto Griffin's game. He's a very balanced player, somebody who gets it done in all 4 major statistical categories. Tomorrow, when we're going to get tested a little bit more than usual, I'm expecting higher scores. That is definitely an advantage. Garrick Higgo played absolutely lights out today. Again, somebody who's completely mispriced when you take a look at his pedigree. Somebody who won multiple times on the European Tour, then came over to the PGA Tour, and his first ever start won. So his pedigree is that of the people in the $8,500 to $9,000 range. So I like going there in terms of just straight up salary value. Ryan Palmer looked okay today. I don't hate going there. Again, he was one of my core picks. Just couldn't make a putt today. So again, that could be a good spot to bounce back. Russell Henley is also somebody I missed while going through the first time. Somebody who's very good in windy conditions. He's from Florida, so very used to having side winds, crosswinds, that kind of thing. So tomorrow, with the harder conditions that we're expecting, he could perhaps back up that 4 under round with something even lower. Let's talk about a few people I don't like, right? So we talked about some of the guys that I'll be playing tomorrow. Obviously can't go through my entire player pool, but while we have a few minutes here before the Thursday night football game starts, I'll go ahead and talk about a few guys I won't be playing. One's going to be Will Zalatoris. So he was all over the place today. Was making a lot more putts than he's used to. His ball striking wasn't really there. And for Will Zalatoris, that's completely backwards, right? That's not how he's used to playing. So that worries me a little bit. I wasn't on him to begin this week to begin with, so I'm not going to be there. Harris English, my theory about the putter, I think I'm right. I was being very speculative saying that he was changing the putter grip. We didn't even know whether he was going to do that, but he did. He ended up putting tape over it, completely resurfacing it, and he couldn't make a putt today. And again, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but there's a serious issue when somebody loses their confidence on the greens, and something as silly and as small as a putter grip could do that. I mean, I know for me, when I'm using my specific putter, my gamer putter, my Scotty Cameron, I make like 5 times as many putts as anything else. If I'm using anyone else's putter, if I'm using a rental set, that kind of thing, I just can't even putt with it. Half the time I just pick up the ball within 5 feet and just call it a gimme, because it's embarrassingly bad. So I worry about that with Harris English. It seems silly, but you would be surprised. Just ask the guys about their equipment, how important it can really be to them. And it's not necessarily equipment, right? So I want to hammer this home. It's the confidence, it's the belief behind it, it's the just believing that you're going to hit a putt on the right line, right? Because as soon as you lose that confidence, you start changing your lines, you start changing your speed, and then you're not executing on all cylinders. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you guys are not going to be playing Cameron Tringale, he always gets out to hot starts and then always ends up throwing up all over the place, half the time missing the cut. So a lot of people are going to start chasing those kind of things. It happens on every Showdown slate. He goes out there, shoots 6-7 under par the first day, and then shoots over par the second day as chalk on Showdown and pisses everyone off. So keep that in mind there. A few other guys that are not going to be playing tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to be playing Brian Harmon. Didn't get to him. Just wanted to mention him. I'm definitely going to have him in lineups. Ricky Fowler. Not going to have Ricky Fowler, right? He was an absolute dumpster fire today. Made a ton of putts. It's still shot over par. So that's going to be it, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by for this live stream. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down in the chat if you're watching this on replay, and I'll get to it as soon as I see it. If you guys don't have access to my Patreon channel yet, I highly recommend that you guys do so. There on the Patreon, I have my projections for every player in this week's field. So if you guys are working on lineups for next week for the CJ Cup, make sure to go ahead and join that. You get all of my data, you get access to the Discord to ask me any questions, all of that kind of fun stuff. We're also going to have a Showdown live stream on Saturday night, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we're going to go over the Sunday slate. So the single round slate, obviously the key difference between that round and this round is, first of all, the weather could be very much so different, but even more so, we have placement points for Sunday Showdown, completely different in terms of game theory. So make sure to stop on by and we can discuss that. But again, thank you guys for stopping by. Make sure to like the stream if you haven't already and subscribe as well so you don't miss anything in the future.